Well, hello, everybody. Tonight, we are going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be focusing on rock bands, other musicians, some singers, and some things from the land down under. You know, where they call an eraser a rubber, where they abbreviate just about everything.
Nick, give him your wallet.
What for?
He's got a knife.
That's not a knife. That's a knife.
If you haven't guessed already, we are talking about Australia. What's up, guys?
G'day, sailor.
Good.
I can't do an accent. So hey, what's up?
Oh, and I can. So tonight we're going to be featuring everything from the land down under. I'm going to be drinking some very different whiskey. And we're going to talk about all the bands that you may not have known or do know come from the land down under. Before we get started, though, I just want to ask you guys a couple of questions. Like, let's do a little bit of trivia and see how much you guys actually know about Australia.
Oh, I
Ooh,
love
So,
okay.
are you ready?
That sounds
Ready?
like fun. Sure.
Old school
Yeah.
Okay.
metal rock and whiskey trivia. I love it.
Yes,
Exactly.
it's been a while.
God, you're
Yes.
right. It has been a while, huh? Okay.
Let's do it.
So, all right. First question. Where is Tasmania located?
Ding, ding, ding.
Okay. Matthew?
Northeast of Australia.
No, that would be
Taz is south. It's an island south
south of
of
Australia.
Australia. And they call it Taz because they abbreviate fucking everything. Okay. Next one. Australia has 3 times more blank than people.
Kangaroos.
No. Matt, you want to give it a shot?
Dingoes.
I was wondering if we were going to get away without saying the dingo ate my baby tonight.
Well, we obviously didn't.
Nope. The answer is Australia has 3 times more sheep than people.
Oh, okay.
That was my next guess.
Okay,
Interesting.
so this is very near and dear to my heart. Australia has the largest population of these people besides the capital city where they come from. It's a European country.
Of these people, it's a European country.
Yeah, biggest
Was it people or
population of
country
immigrants.
from a
the
European
people.
country?
Correct.
Hmm.
Anybody know?
European.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Greek.
Yes. You win, Matt. I
Wow.
don't know what you win, but you win. Yeah.
Never
You
would have guessed
you
that.
said it was near and dear to your heart, so I figured that was kind of a good
Ah,
yeah.
yeah.
There you go.
Nice little pickup on that clue.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
then
the
trivia
largest Greek population in the world, besides in Athens, can be found in Melbourne, Victoria. Melbourne.
That's crazy. So it's Melbourne has more Greeks than any other Greek city besides Athens.
Yeah, it's not nuts.
That is
Oh my
nuts.
gosh.
Totally
I know there's a
crazy.
lot of Greeks in the Chicago area too, so it is crazy.
Not compared to
Not compared to Melbourne,
Melbourne.
obviously.
No.
Okay.
Interesting.
Let's see if you guys can pick this up a little bit. Australia is the only continent in the world without blank, and it's a geographical thing.
Without blank.
Mm-hmm. The only continent in the world without this geographical anomaly or this geographical activity, occasional activity.
Volcano.
Natural. Correct. That
Wow.
was right.
Nice.
Yes.
Is
And-
it also the only country that doesn't share a border? Or I'm sorry, not country, but continent that doesn't share a border with another continent?
That I think it doesn't share a border, but I think is it the only one? I think so.
Well, Antarctica doesn't share. A
Oh,
border
that's
with
right.
anything.
Oh, that's
Truth.
true.
Yeah.
Truth.
I guess that is considered a continent.
Truth.
Yeah. Land of
Okay.
penguins.
All right. So, I wanted to refrain from, calling the Australians weirdos all the time. So this fact isn't going to help. Each year there is a city in Australia. Now, this is a true or false, that hosts the World Championships of cockroach racing. Is this true or false?
Cockroach racing? That sounds plausible enough to be true.
I would say it's true.
I mean, they're probably as big as race cars, so you are both correct. Brisbane hosts World Championships of cockroach racing.
And why wouldn't they?
Exactly. So, okay, Australia is known for its beaches, so much so that if you visit one new beach in Australia every day, it would take over 27 years to see them all. That is insane.
Considering how many miles of oceanfront property is in Australia, that doesn't really surprise me.
Yes. Now, so we think of this continent as beaches, right? As just illustrated. However, the Australian Alps receive more snowfall than Switzerland.
No kidding. Wow. They got some elevation in there somewhere.
Okay, so Australia is home to the longest fence in the entire world. It was originally built to keep X animals away from fertile land. Does anybody know what animals that was?
Oh, that would have to be kangaroos.
Nope.
From fertile land. So have to be something that eats stuff that's grown on the land. Interesting.
It's dingoes, damn it.
Oh, what the?
Okay, last
I would
little...
figure they would have kept them away from livestock, not necessarily fertile land, but okay.
I mean, maybe they're just scavengers.
Maybe.
Okay, and last fact. So there have been instances of wallabies getting high after breaking into opium crops, then running around and making what look like crop circles, similar to the science fictional thriller Signs. And that is a true story.
Oh my gosh. High wallabies. That's where the crop circles come from.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe that explains it, right? Maybe that's the case for
There
every
you
crop
go.
circle.
Yeah.
So
So that
crazy
is
wildlife.
the end of our Australia trivia. So let's talk a little bit about whiskey. But first,
night after night, my heartbeat shows the fear. Ghosts appear and fade away. Between the sheets only brings exasperation. It's time to walk the streets.
and that, of course, was Overkill from the wildly popular, internationally known Men at Work.
Who can it be now?
Men at Work.
Oh, okay.
They're knocking
That's
at your door.
what I thought you said.
The dad
oh
jokes.
boy.
All right, let's talk about whiskey because, well, first let me explain the reason why we are doing this is different for us. So I don't think we've ever focused on a region and to talk about their music in specific. But one of my friends who is a fan of the show, Adrian from That Whiskey Place, and you can find him on Instagram, that_whiskey without the E _place. Sent me several Australian whiskey samples. He sent me a little Viking helmet and some Tim Tams. Now,
Ooh.
for all you Aussies listening, you're gonna know you're probably already laughing because you know what's coming up. So when I got the Tim Tams, I was like, "Oh, thanks for putting some cookies in there." And he's like, "No, no, no, no," and sends me a YouTube link. And so I went to the link, and I'm like, "Oh shit!" So there's a thing called the Tim Tam Challenge. So I will be doing that on our next show. This is part 1 of our Aussie series. So stay tuned for the Tim Tam Challenge. So the whiskey that I got was really special, and it's a category, frankly, I've never talked about. I know that I think, Matt, you once chose an Australian whiskey, right?
Correct.
And I think that's the only time we've ever actually discussed Australian whiskey. So I thought, what the hell? We talk so often about making sure that people, especially Americans, understand that there's a world of whiskey out there. Pun intended. There's so much more to offer than just Kentucky bourbon. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with Kentucky bourbon. It just means that there's more. There's so much more. And we like to highlight the diversity in whiskey. So this is a great time for us to shine a light on Australian whiskey. And we're going to do that tonight before we get into talking about some of the bands. And then on part 2 of this series, we're going to go in depth on a couple of these bands. And I'm going to do the Tim Tam Challenge and taste a little more of the whiskey that Adrian sent us. So who wants to go first tonight? Don't all jump at once. Okay.
How about we let the whiskey obsessor go first?
Sure.
Go ahead. Save the E.
I usually do my little whiskey tasting intro, but
Well, this is a weird show, so I skipped all of that.
It is a weird show. It's fine. It's everything's backwards, just like in Australia. So we should have started with the outro and then just worked.
We should have.
Okay. But yeah, as Sailor mentioned, I have indulged in Australian whiskey before on our show. It is a very interesting part of the world for many reasons, including whiskey making. I did believe I mentioned that even in Tasmania, they have peat that they use in their whiskey. Believe it or not, just because of where the country's located, it's more of a temperate climate. Peat does facilitate there. So, but today I'm drinking the same thing I drank last time, and that is the Starward brand Nova. For those on YouTube that can see it, I'm holding the bottle up right now. About $45, 82 proof. It's finished in red wine barrels. I believe they use locally sourced barrels.
Where does that come
Shiraz
from
barrels.
in Australia?
That's a great question. I don't know why.
It says Melbourne.
Probably It's got to be
Melbourne?
big, guys. Yeah, Melbourne.
Okay, because that's very, very accessible here in the U.S.
Very accessible. I know I think ABC stores, at least in Florida, have an exclusive on it because I haven't seen it in any other stores. But finished in red wine barrels, probably Shiraz barrels. But it is light, approachable, very fruity, orchard fruits, as you would expect from something it's young, but it has that finish in the red wine barrel. So you're getting sort of a fruity, very pleasant, light taste. So I hate to say it's introductory because I think that kind of puts a kind of.
You can say it's approachable.
It's approachable. Thank you.
There you go.
It's approachable. It's not introductory, but because then that puts it in the same breath as a lot of things I don't like. But yeah, it's very approachable, even for the non-whiskey drinker. So I would definitely recommend it.
So they are from Melbourne, just so you know, not the Outback. They make it clear. And Melbourne is the foodie capital of Australia, apparently. So yeah, and they source they use red wine barrels, like you said, and they source all their ingredients from just a day's drive away from Melbourne. So very cool. And Ed, what about you? What are you drinking?
It's funny, just by pure coincidence. This last week, I had the opportunity to do a tasting flight with the members of the Key and the Lake podcast out of Chicago. And two of the 6 samples that we tasted or variations on Starward whiskeys. And I happen to have a little bit left over here. So I have one sample of Starward Twofold, which is a combination of they have a wheat whiskey and a malted barley whiskey. So basically, it's probably, their Nova combined with a wheat whiskey. And like the Nova, it is finished in wine barrels. And it's 80 proof, and it's freaking delicious. The first time I tasted this, we are all trying to give our impressions of what it tasted like. I got it then, and I'm still getting it now. I'm still tasting like a fig Newton. You feel like a little bit of the grain coming through, like the breading on the fig Newton, and then you just got like the dark fruit in there, which I'm sure some of that is coming from the wine. But yeah, it is just an amazing whiskey. I really like it. I don't know if I ever would have tried this on my own. You never know. I may have someday, just out of curiosity. But this kind of forced my hand and to try it sooner than I probably would have, and I'm so glad it did. And the nice thing about it is it's so dang affordable too. I think a bottle of this around here at Binny's cost is like 30, somewhere between 35 and $40 for a bottle. It's fantastic. So I am that's going to be, I think, one of my next bottle purchases is this. Very good. It's a light colored whiskey, but it's not light on taste, I'll tell you that.
That's something that we don't talk about enough, I think, is the color of whiskey. So for a long time, there's been this idea that if it's light and colored, it's young and therefore it's going to be bad or not as premium, and that is just not true. Completely,
Right.
100% not true. There are many, many factors that can make a whiskey lighter. One being age, sure, but also we know now age is not an indicate. A young age is also not an indication of a whiskey not being delicious to you. But yeah, I really want to see more people talking about the fact that, like you just said, light in color but not light in flavor. So just for those new to whiskey out there, do not judge a whiskey based on its color, because I've drank some super dark whiskey that was complete crap, and I've drank some super light whiskey that was phenomenal. So you just got to taste it, and if you like it, then it's good.
And as a little bonus here, the second tasting I have is not something you can go in and just buy off the shelf. This was actually a single barrel strength pick. That's going out to a club, like a whiskey club in California. So it's headed out to the West Coast, but I was lucky enough to get a sample of it, and it is pretty amazing. I am really jealous that someone else is going to have an opportunity to buy this. It's on the taste on this one. I wrote down bread pudding. It's got like a bread pudding has been soaked in rum, and you got the raisins and the rich caramel. It's just phenomenal.
That sounds delicious.
It is still labeled as a single malt, Ed. They still
single barrel. I'm looking on the website right now. Excuse me. It's but yes.
Why wouldn't
I
it
believe
be
it is still a single malt.
I'm just curious because they have the twofold, so just
gotcha.
Maybe they put any wheat in it.
Yeah, it's a whiskey single barrel. It's just single malt.
Okay.
Non-chill filtered, barrel strength. But it's still they still do that wine barrel finish, and
so it's
I'll tell you what,
strength version
it's
of
a
the
cask
one I have, basically. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
And it is.
Wow.
Yeah. If you can find one, buy it. That's all I can say.
That's tantalizing to me.
Yeah. Well, that sounds delicious. I'm definitely going to go purchase a bottle of Starward this week as a little bonus for myself on Friday. So I am actually drinking a Tasmanian whiskey
Ooh.
from that little island that they call Tas, south of Melbourne. And this whiskey comes from a little town called Hobart. And I was really curious when I first opened this sample. Thank you, Adrian. The nose on it. So I don't know if you guys find this, but the first place I always go is I go to the website because I want to see what the distiller or blender says you should smell and taste and what the finish should be, because that's their intention, right? And then I'll, scan for a few reviews. You'll see some commonality in online reviews, and then I taste it myself. And it just gives me an indication of the possibilities of what I might taste. But it is rare that when I taste a whiskey, it will hit every single point on what the distiller or blender intended. This one does that. So there's been a few that have done it. This one absolutely does it. So this is a single malt. I'm drinking their signature single malt, and it's aged in American oak ex-bourbon casks. So super malty, which I absolutely adore. I really come into those super malty flavors, which I love. So they want you to, or hoping you will smell baked apple pie with cinnamon and raisins and pastries and vanillas, all of that custard. Literally, if I didn't, that's instantly what I smelled as I got the vanilla and the custard right away with maybe just a little bit of lemon on there. But then I was like, it's not lemon, it's green apple, like baked green apple. Just phenomenal. And then on the palate, there's so much marzipan in this that I feel like this is such a great whiskey for people who can't find that marzipan flavor. You would find it in here instantly. It's like it hits the front of the tongue right away. It stays on the tongue, clings to the tongue. It's even in the finish. There's so much almond in here. It's absolutely mind-blowing. And then lots of sherbet and, oh my gosh, having said that, it's not overly sweet. It's super balanced. It's got such a nice viscosity to it and mouthfeel. It's light, but also has a nice floral finish, which I really appreciate when you've got a whiskey that's super sweet up front. And then it finishes with the floral. It's just really gorgeous. And I would say it's not a completely dry whiskey. It's like a semi-dry whiskey, but this is absolutely phenomenal. Adrian, you are the best. Anytime you want to send me more Hobart, you're welcome to. It is so incredibly good. I cannot say enough about how, this is a really special whiskey. It's also 47.5 ABV, by the way. And it is just probably one of the best single malts I've tasted in a while, I would say. It's in the top 5 for sure.
Nice. And even going back to what you said about color, Sailor. Even watching on YouTube here, I can tell it's a light color.
Yeah, yeah. But it's the color of honey. It's got a beautiful natural honey color, and it does not need another minute in that barrel because there's quite a bit of barrel in here for a single malt, in my opinion. And it's literally right at that perfect sweet spot. I think if it was in the barrel another month, even. Depending on what their conditions are, I think it would have been a little too woody for me. Definitely. So you don't need more than what they did. It is perfect.
Did you say is it Hellier's Road Distillery? Okay, because I just looked up Hobart. Okay.
Hobart.
I just looked up Australian whiskeys on Binny's, and they carry 2. One of them is the Starward, and the other one is another one from Tasmania, single malt, called Hellier's Road Distillery.
I don't think they have U.S. distribution yet. So Adrian said he was going to keep me posted on that. But
sounds phenomenal.
It's absolutely phenomenal, and the conditions of where they are making whiskey. So if you pull up the map, which is super helpful, of Tasmania, they're in the south of Tasmania, which is south of Melbourne, right? Southern Australia. So they are out there in the ocean with New Zealand flanking them, and then just, the Indian Ocean and the Tasmanian Sea all around them. So, I don't know what temperatures. I guess I could look it up, average temperatures, but this is definitely island. So you definitely have similar conditions to an island whiskey. Let's see what the average temperatures are in Tasmania. I'm just curious. Let's see, 17 and 23 degrees Celsius in the summer. What the fuck is that in Fahrenheit? Ed, you know this stuff. What is the conversion?
What? How many degrees Celsius?
17 and 23 degrees Celsius is summer temperatures. Why do we have to have this bullshit? Why can't everything be the same?
17 is like 62.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Ooh. So it's on the cooler side.
Yeah. And in the winter, it's only sits between 3 and 11 degrees Celsius. Interesting.
That's why they have their own peat. That's what I'm saying. It's got a cooler.
Sure,
climate.
yeah, peat bog. Yeah, you can. Yeah. As long as you're wet and cool, you can grow peat. You've got peat bog. Sure, for sure.
There you go.
Yeah. So it's wow. Yeah, that's a pretty cool climate. So it's interesting, picking up flavors that you recognize in other whiskeys and other single malts, of course. And you're always going to compare to Scottish single malts, of course. But yeah, I mean, the distillery, the facility looks gorgeous. Their story is really cool. And I think, shit, if you're going to Australia, go visit Hobart.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm still drinking this twofold. Now I feel like I'm just eating handfuls of sun-made raisins, the dark raisins.
Wow.
So if you don't like raisins, I don't know if this whiskey would be for you, but that's what I'm tasting, man.
Is it like golden raisins or dark raisins?
No, dark raisins.
Okay, because they're so different in flavor.
Yep.
Well, that's the whiskey we're drinking tonight. Next time on our Australia series, I will be tasting another sample that Adrian sent us. So let's talk a little bit about some of obviously the most famous bands that came out of Australia, and a few that we either forgot or we were surprised to find out that these bands were actually Australian bands.
Have you heard about the lonesome loser, beaten by the Queen of Hearts every time? Have you heard about the lonesome loser? He's a loser, but he still keeps on trying.
Oh man, I remember that was on regular radio rotation.
Yeah, that's the jam, man. That is such a jam. I don't care what anybody says. Can you not sing, especially when you can't run and hide when it gets to that part of the song?
Oh my gosh.
Hell yeah.
Man, I'm just curious if Matt was familiar with this song. It's kind of an oldie.
I know the song, but I can't say I remember when it was on the radio.
Well,
oh no,
you wouldn't.
You wouldn't.
You were not even a fetus yet. So, all right, let's just get one thing out of the way. So, of course, everybody knows that AC/DC is Australian, or if you're Australian, it's Akadaka. So let's just talk about that for a second.
Is that really a thing?
Oh yeah, it's a thing. And
didn't we have an argument during our AC/DC episode about their origin or something? Wasn't Jake saying they were from England? And it's like,
so no, Jake is saying they were from Scotland.
They were all born in Scotland. Yeah.
Yeah, they grew up in Australia though.
Yeah.
And formed in Australia. And so we were saying because they formed in Australia, and grew up there, they would be an Australian band.
Right.
Because they all formed in Australia. So that was the argument. Okay, so when you Google, why do people call AC/DC Akadaka? First of all, everybody knows what AC/DC stands for, right? Alternating current or direct current. Yes?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Just get that out of the way. So this is already a fucking abbreviation. alternating current or direct current, AC/DC. It's already an abbreviation. Let me just get that a finer point on that. So the Aussies are all about the abbreves. Everything is abbreviated, right? Bickies for biscuit, Taz for Tasmania, and it goes on and on and on. Brekkie, breakfast.
The English are a lot like that too.
Aussies do it way more than the English, than the British. Way more. Now, they claim that Akadaka is an abbreviation, and I'm like, how the fuck is okay? And they spell it ACCA, then DACCA. AC/DC. Akadaka. That is not a fucking abbreviation.
It's the same number of syllables, no
but
matter which way you pronounce it.
It's not an abbreviation. Okay.
No,
so
it's
then
not.
let's pretend it is. Okay, but also why? So here's one. There are so many. I don't think they know, to be honest. Okay, so one theory is AC/DC used to mean bisexual. I actually remember my stepdad using the term AC/DC, and I was like, what are you, from the Victorian era? And it was like ACD was already a band. He still called people that are bisexual he's a little AC/DC. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, he likes the band? And my stepdad was like, what? He was from Kentucky. God love him.
Okay.
Okay. So they were saying it's polite to call them Akadaka and not AC/DC, so you weren't offending a bisexual person. And I'm like, here's the problem with that. I find it very hard to believe that in the 70s and the 80s, enough people gave two fucks about people who were bisexual to change the name of a band.
I've always heard the baseball analogy, but I've never heard the electrical analogy.
Well, AC/DC does mean that's what it means.
No. I'm talking about for bi. So I've always heard the baseball analogy, but never the electrical analogy.
Really? Oh, okay.
Anyway, it's
What's
interesting.
the baseball analogy?
Switch hitter.
Oh yeah. That's
Swings
it's
both
the same.
ways.
Yeah,
Swings
exactly.
both ways.
It's the same shit.
Either way.
Yeah. Same shit. So okay, so I think so after all my research online on the internet, which is where you do important research and find all the facts, I have decided that the Aussies call AC/DC Akadaka because they're fucking crazy, and that's where I'm gonna leave it. Love you guys, but you're crazy. And on that note, let's have an AC/DC song before we get into this topic and piss off.
They try to abbreviate an abbreviation. Like that's what happens.
I know a couple of Australian people I can ask. I'm going to have to ask them.
Report back on the next show.
I will.
Call me anytime. The 62 pieces over. Running a knife out train. Dirty deeds, dumb dog shit. Dirty deeds, dumb dog shit. Dirty deeds, dumb dog shit.
All right, so a little bit of dirty deeds from Akadaka.
Yeah.
There you go, my friends. I'll say it in your language. Okay, so let's talk about a couple bands that obviously are Australian bands. So we have the Bee Gees. Duh.
Of course.
Those gentlemen with their hairy chests, their gold chains, and their lovely bell bottoms. So Avi.
And very high voices.
Very high voices.
Hence the tight pants.
I have never been able to even get anywhere near that shit.
Oh gosh. No.
Okay, so then, we have AC/DC, of course. We also Men at Work, which we played earlier, of course.
Yes.
And then, so here's a few that I was surprised about that I don't know if you guys knew. In Excess, too, obviously.
Yep.
Which we're going to cover In Excess one of these days on the show. We'll do that another time. So the band also, I just want to take a moment to talk about the band Midnight Oil and their hit song, Beds Are Burning. Mm-hmm. So I remember, this came out and I'm like, what a weird song, and like what weird dudes, and like what's like in the video, because everything was about the videos back when this came out. I was like, what's happening? Like, what are they doing? And oh, Australia, like what the fuck? I don't know. It just seemed like so very foreign to me. And somebody told me, I think it was like a while after they became really popular, what the song was really about. And I was very, I was very moved by it, very moved by the purpose of the song. And this was probably in my later teen years when I became aware of politics and was starting to form, you know, my own opinions and views about things. If you don't know, this song is a protest song supporting, protesting against the genocide of the indigenous people of Australia. So much like every other place the colonizers landed on, they come in, they fucking kill everybody, build a new place, and say, now we own this shit, which is super fucked up. So much like the United States, this happened in Australia. And it's specifically, I highly recommend doing a Google search of the song, because it's specifically about the last tribe that came out from the desert to join, you know, I'm saying this with air quotes, modern society, which is bullshit, and kind of, you know, kind of leave their own way of life and assimilate as much as they did, which was in the 1930s. And I went down this huge rabbit hole, and then one of my favorite Australian actresses, and I can't remember her freaking name right now. I heard her on a podcast. I think it might have been Conan O'Brien or someone talking about, you know, how really all of the protesting that has gone on, you know, in the 50s and 60s and 70s for the Native Americans, I mean, albeit still too small for my opinion, they really didn't have that in Australia. And so this was a really big deal. This song made it internationally. So I just thought that was really, really awesome. So definitely give it a listen, read the lyrics, and then do a little Google about it, because it's just really fantastic that was really their breakout hit. So, and I'll play the song now for you guys.
Actually have that album, Diesel and Dust. I had it since it first came out back in the day. Great album.
Yeah, the whole album's phenomenal. Absolutely.
Out where the river broke, the bloodwood and the desert oak, holding wrecks and boiling diesels, steaming 45 degrees. The time has come to save fair's fair, to pay the rent, to pay our share.
Fantastic song.
Great song.
Yeah, super great song, and super great subject too. And that's what music is supposed to be about. It's supposed to ignite you in some way and make you think and make you rock, and it does all of those things. So, Well done. Well done. That's Midnight Oil. Okay, so the hell was that? Is there a hurricane happening, Ed?
Oh no, that's just my water heater. You ignore it.
Oh,
Oh, okay. I don't want to get sucked up and away.
The perils of podcasting from the basement.
Okay, so some other bands. You guys, what about Air Supply?
Oh my gosh.
what about Air Supply?
This. I had the cassette tape Air Supply's greatest hits back in the day.
Me too. I had an album too.
Oh my gosh. This would have been a good one for Guilty Pleasures, probably.
We should have. So, okay, I will admit this. So I'm not going to say exactly who I was with or where I was, but I was in my young teenage years, back when you would do a lot of making out in the basement. And that was the album or the tape that we would put on.
Make-out music.
Yes, Air Supply's greatest hits. That was the make-out. You could just make out to the whole damn album. How boring. So So that's what it reminds me of, being a teenager making out in the basement with the lava lamp and the tiger playing. Look, I'm so lost without you. Wait a minute. Hang on a second.
What tomorrow could bring when today doesn't really know. Doesn't really know.
I'm all out of love. I'm so lost without you. I know you were right, believing for so long. I'm all out of love. What am I without you? I can't be too late to say that I was so wrong.
I feel like with these last couple episodes, we need to like
Oh,
overcorrect.
we better do some death
We need
metal.
to do like
next episode.
dying
Oh.
fetus or some shit next episode.
Anal cunt.
Yeah. Smother Teresa.
I've got an Aussie band who could probably take care of that at
Oh,
least to some
God.
degree.
Oh shit. All right, before you get to that, let's just go over the big guns, then we're gonna get to that stuff.
All right.
Okay, who else did we not talk about? So okay, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. I don't know why. Always think he's British. I know he's Australian. I
I'm
forgot.
with you, Taylor. Always think he's British.
Always forget.
Yeah.
One of my favorite albums of Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, probably one of my top 100s, is Murder Ballads. And he does one song with Kylie Minogue that is so, oh God, I used to listen to this song like, I don't know if boys do this, but when you have like a breakup and you're sad when you're a teenager and you listen to shit that's like purposely depressing, so you can just like drown in
everybody
your
does
depression. And so I used to listen to Murder Ballads, and one of my favorite is Where the Wild Roses Grow with him and Kylie Minogue. It is so killer. That album still haunts me. PJ Harvey's on it with him. It's just so damn good. Then there is The Church, which we are definitely going to cover separately. I love The Church. They're one of my favorite bands of all times. Totally forgot they were Australian. Then there's the Divinals. Does everybody remember them?
Yep.
I had to remind Matt.
When I think about
That's what I said. I'm like, think Austin Powers. I touch myself. Just remember his face, not the hot chick who sings it. That's what I want to hear.
You're muted, Matt.
Sorry. I'm still getting over a cold here, so that's why I'm on mute a lot this show. But I think she passed away recently. The singer. if I'm not
No.
mistaken. Yeah.
Yeah, the Divinals. I never knew that they were an Australian band either. That's another
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah,
surprise for me.
I
I think she had breast cancer. I think.
Oh,
unfortunately.
that's so
Yeah.
sad. Well,
Yeah, it
here's
sucks.
one for her. That's fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of who's beat, or I think she beat breast cancer like 3 times. Another one I was going to bring up later, but now seems like an opportune time. Olivia Newton-John.
Oh shit!
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of my oh gosh, I was going through the list, thinking about Olivia Newton-John. Holy smokes! Probably one of my top adolescent crushes back in the day. Holy cow.
Crushes, he
That's
said. I know what
ball
you
pass.
really mean.
Yeah.
Oh man, when Sandy changes into those
Oh hell yeah!
spandex pants and
I got chills. They're multiplying.
in Grease. Holy.
Oh
shit.
yeah, when she becomes the cool girl with her cigarette,
Yeah.
and her tight black leather pants, and her big hair. I remember when Let's Get Physical came out. I was sitting with a bunch of my friends. It was like mixed group, boys and girls, and we're all sitting there and we're like, oh, blah, blah, blah. We're like chatting while the video's on, and the guys are just dead silent. And I'm like, I finally look around, I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And they were like with their mouths open, drooling at the Let's Get Physical video. And I was like, workout clothes, boys drooling. Workout clothes, boys drooling. Now, I don't think my 12-year-old self looked as good as Olivia Newton-John in my aerobics gear, but nonetheless,
Yeah. And
that
she-
was that whole fashion explosion.
first cassette tape I ever bought. Xanadu soundtrack. She was on there. The
Xanadu.
song Magic.
That's my
Classic.
roller skating jam
gosh.
right there. Hours of roller skating to Xanadu. Hours and hours. Okay, So then we have Wolf Mother, which we are absolutely going to cover in another show. And Wolf Mother, I mean, I always think of Guitar Hero now with Wolf Mother, but man, they're an amazing band. I've seen them live. They rule. But what about you guys?
That was my introduction to Wolf Mother as well, was the song Woman from Guitar Hero.
Honestly, for me, it was The Hangover when the scene where Zach Galifianakis wins back all their money and they're playing Joker and the Thief. I'm like, that song's freaking awesome. So I had to Google it, and that's where I found Wolf Mother. And then that album, the self-titled album, also has Woman on it. So that album's freaking amazing.
That album is incredible,
Yeah.
and they are unbelievable live. Unbelievable. So there's another band that I want to talk about at the request of Adrian was the Angels. Are you guys familiar with the Angels?
I am not.
Not at all.
Really? They have released 13 studio albums.
Whoa.
Yeah.
All right. We've been around a while.
Mm-hmm.
Dive into them on part 2 of our Aussie series, and I'll introduce those of you that don't know. Mega band in Australia. One of their albums went 4 times platinum in Australia.
Oh man.
Yeah, big band. So we'll talk about them, and then there's a band called the Rose Tattoo. Anybody heard of them?
No.
Nope.
No?
Nope.
All right. So we're going to cover them next episode as well on part 2. And they are another Australian rock band from the 70s and 80s. Huge band. I'm going to pull together a few clips, and I wonder when I pull together the clips if you guys will have heard of them. But yeah, really, really interesting band. So we'll cover them next time. Do you guys have any bands that surprised you other than what I mentioned that are Aussie bands?
Yeah, I don't think I ever knew that Jet was an Aussie band too.
Huh. I didn't know they were Australian either.
Yeah.
Little River Band was the other one for me, but we already talked about that.
Yep.
But yeah, that's the only one I think of that I was already aware of that I didn't know was Australian. How about you, Matt?
I think that surprised me, honestly. Nick Cave, which Sailor said, I keep forgetting that he's Australian.
Yep.
But yeah, everybody else I pretty much knew.
Did we talk about Crowded House yet?
That was another one. Yes. Now that you mention it, Crowded House.
Yeah.
Another one of my favorite 80s tunes from them.
Ed and I were talking about Crowded House, and and I have this very distinct memory of it must have been one of the first few Video Music Awards, MTV Video Music Awards that I super remember them from. But yeah, Crowded House, God, I was obsessed with them for years. They're just such a phenomenal band, and I honestly did not know that they were Australian ever.
No.
Yeah.
Don't Dream It's Over is probably one of my top 20 80s ballads of all time.
That is definitely a hold the boombox over your head outside of your girlfriend boyfriend's bedroom window and play the song. That's it
a
for
song.
me.
Yeah, you're driving down the street. It's a rainy day, a cloudy day. You crank that up.
Yep.
Oh,
Man, it's amazing. Like, forget about the groups that we've talked about, but just the songs we've talked about that most people in America, if they heard it, would know, and then they wouldn't be able to name who sang it. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's one that you guys just mentioned. Don't Dream It's Over.
Yep.
Oh, I've heard the song a million times. Who sings it? I don't know.
There's also, of course, which she's not in the rock category, but Sia is Australian.
Yep.
I highly respect what she does. Apparently, Rick Springfield is considered Australian, which I don't agree with that. I mean, is he really? He was born there, but I wouldn't consider him an Australian artist.
Yeah,
right?
I saw him when researching artists. He was listed as there. But
He got his start in the U.S. with General Hospital.
yeah, well, I guess if I don't know when he. You have to look into when he actually moved to the U.S. Because
Well, he was in England before the U.S. too. So I feel like I don't know. Like, don't you have to like live in Australia and make records in Australia to be considered an Australian artist?
You know what?
Can't
I
just be
wonder.
born from there, right?
I wonder if this list that I'm looking at is basically it counts if you're Australian born, because it's funny under the Rick Springfield heading it says genre pop music, rock music, and pop rock. Nationality United States of America.
Yeah. See.
So anyway,
I don't know though, because so apparently he was in a band when he was 19, and he toured South Vietnam with to entertain Australian troops. So I guess he was still living in Australia at 19. So and he's playing music there. I guess that makes him an Australian artist. No?
yeah, I guess if you actually begin your musical career in Australia, I think that would count.
Yeah, probably. Well, see, there you go. I had no idea.
Rick
I
Springfield.
had no clue. Yeah, Rick Springfield.
Still wishing he had Jesse's girl.
He'll never get Jesse's girl because
No.
anyone that puts the lyrics, the point is moot in a song does not deserve to get the girl. I'm sorry. That's just how it goes.
You know what? There have been so many awkward lyrics appearing in songs for the sake of the rhyme or the
That doesn't.
whatever.
It doesn't even though, does it? I don't even think.
Or just to fit the number of syllables you have to have it, just for it to sound right. I don't know.
The point is probably moot. Who the fuck puts that in a song?
Rick Springfield.
Yeah, well,
I don't hate that
like
as
it.
much as when they rhyme the same word, like me, you know. I don't like that. Use different words.
Okay.
It's not all about you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not all about you. Damn it. Use
Yeah.
different words. Damn
I'm
it.
just using me as an example, but you know what I mean.
All right, so I think we've done a good job setting up what's to come on
Yeah.
part 2 of this. So I'm going to take my rubber and get out of here. I mean eraser. And eat some Marmite
Oh, keep your memory.
Vegemite sandwich.
and have a Vegemite sandwich.
Yeah.
But on that note, Ed, this one is for you, my friend.
Alrighty.
Oh boy.
There is freedom within, there is freedom without. Try to catch the deluge in a paper cup. There's a battle ahead, many battles are lost, but you never see the end of the road while you're traveling with me. Hey now, don't dream it's over. Hey now, when the world comes in.
Oh, love it.
Great fucking song. And on that note, fuck you, Rick Springfield. I guess we skipped all the stuff we're supposed to.
That's all right.
Anyway,
We'll get it on the next episode.
Okay, we'll just pretend like it's a literal pause.
Yeah.
Okay, bye-bye.